Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to New Year's Day.
Woo!
Be the Man.
Happy New Year.
Dropping on January number 1.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you all. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, but also a wonderful 2023.
Absolutely, man.
It's been a crazy year.
Hard to
been a long
believe
year.
it. Hard to believe it, dude. Staring another year right in the face. But praise God. Hey, we got another chance, another opportunity.
Yes.
And I believe he's going to do much this year, Eli.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's over. I look back on 2023 and think about all the goodness that the Lord's poured out, and it's just, I don't know, it blows my mind.
He's been good, man.
We've done so many things.
Gosh.
I mean, Be the Man was born.
This didn't exist last time. Yeah, last time we were looping this around, Eli and I were just talking about this, and
That's right.
He finally said, "Well, I like Eli, man of action. Let's quit talking about it. Let's start doing some of it." And I thought, okay, all right.
And
let's do it.
we've it's kind of interesting to look back retrospectively on how this has come about. We went from down in the shed, we were just having my little phone was the microphone, to now look at what we got. If you guys are on YouTube, I mean, you've seen the past probably 4 or 5 weeks worth of episodes or more than that, but we got a little studio.
I forget you're watching out there sometimes, guys. So
Yeah.
I told Eli, I said, man, when they're watching, they're probably like, why doesn't the preacher ever look at us any at all? So I'm sorry that I don't do that, guys.
Yeah, we're out here on YouTube. If you're catching us on YouTube, we appreciate you. We appreciate all of you, but I'm glad you guys are out there on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
glad to have you.
Yeah.
All these outlets are really cool, man. Really cool to have this audience. I think this is episode 45
it is.
to start out 2024. That's pretty cool. So 24 to 45. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if it was 45 and 25? But we don't want to give away another year. We'll wait on it. We'll see how it pans out. The Lord knows all these things. So Happy New Year, guys. We are. I hope you didn't stay up all night last night. I hope you got your wits about you as we begin to kick off this brand new year, 2024, together, endeavoring just to be the best husbands that we can, the best friends that we can, the best men that we can, and the Lord is going to really launch this podcast into so many different directions, I believe, this year. I'm looking forward to our Be the Man live night coming up.
Yep.
It's going to be really cool, just another avenue that we can come together as men, encourage one another as husbands, and just see what the Lord does and how He uses one another, each of us, in the lives of each other. I'm so honored to be sitting here with you in 24.
I think that'll be a cool, I always think about with New Year's, especially even this Be the Man live experience. If you want to start, if you feel like you need a time to start being the man, the time is now.
Now.
Right now.
Today is the day.
Exactly.
Today
I mean, what better
the
day than New Year? I mean, if you didn't start when we started the podcast, then you should have been starting to Be the Man principle. But if you haven't, now is your time.
Today is the day, man. Because it does go back to fundamentals, and we'll have a cool book that we're going to really, I say a book, it's a book, it is, but it's more of a pamphlet, a great piece of literature that we're going to put in your hands, just outlining some basic principles that really all this ties back to. They're the fundamentals of it.
To mention that, I was actually wanted to say this, when you guys are out there listening to these podcasts, I actually got, whenever I was kind of helping type some of that out and writing through that, I was going back through the first 10 or 15 episodes, and those were just, you were laying down sort of paving the way of the Be the Man principle. And man, if y'all don't go back and listen to some of those, you really ought to. There is some really, there's practicality in there. There's 100% some practicality, but really the fundamental foundations of just relationships in general, I think, are laid out in that podcast.
Yeah, those early episodes.
Yeah,
man.
and it's in a book. We'll have it in a book form, but I just think I sometimes go back and listen to Balance, for example. I listen to that. Try to listen to it on a frequent basis. We do have these episodes in sequence, but I encourage you to go back.
You can about pick up any one of these anywhere, and it's good.
Exactly.
And I think too, everything has fundamentals, guys. That's what this is built on. Yeah. Every sport has fundamentals. You basketball, baseball, all of them have a different set of fundamentals. If you don't do those well, forget it. You're not going to make it to the major leagues if you can't pick up a curveball. There's some fundamentals. Just little things you got to get your hands in the right place. All these things are. What is that movie where you see the ball, catch the ball, hit the ball? One of those movies. I think it was Bull Durham, maybe. Yeah, I always pull these movies out from somewhere. I don't know. I've seen too many movies in my life, brother. I've wasted too much time. It's fundamental, simple game. So really, same thing would Be the Man. There's some really fundamental principles if you go back and listen to those things. So first episode of 24, man. Lord has me in Psalm 1, guys. our 40 days toward fitness that we did on the social media last fall. We're kicking off in 24,
Yes.
40 days toward nutrition almost.
That's right.
So really drilling that down to help you in a specific area, along with supporting you in all those other areas, is watching what you put in your mouth and your spirit. So as I was doing that, my reading for the day, every day, was a psalm. So I started at Psalm 1 in those 40 days, and it just stuck in my spirit. It was powerful to me. And I thought, man, these are principles right here that will help us be the man in this brand new year. I have a saying, Eli, that I learned a long time ago. I just believe it's absolutely true, and it's so powerful. It's this: if you choose the habit, I may have said this on here before, I'm sure I probably have, because it's one of the things that you need to say over and over to yourself. If you choose the habit, you choose a result.
That's good.
You choose the habit, you choose the result. That's just, you can think you're not choosing the result, but if you sow into a habit in your life, you've ultimately decided that I don't mind that result that comes out of it. So maybe today that's what I'm talking about a little bit, is just some habits. If we develop them this year, they will really help us love our wives more deeply. They will help us love each other as men more deeply and support each other more deeply. And certainly I believe they'll help us serve the Lord in a greater and a more full capacity.
Is it 30 days makes a habit, or 20 days makes
30 days.
30 days.
That's what I've always been told.
Yeah.
I hear different things, but I've been told that psychologically, you do something for 30 days in the same way, all of a sudden it's a part of you.
Yeah.
It's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
You have it ingrained in you. So here's some things that just quick today. I'm going to give you a quick jump into New Year's. How about this? Just some things in Psalm 1. You want to read it, Eli?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why not, man? Yeah.
It's only 6 little verses, so if you got a copy of the word, copy along or follow along. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners. He neither sits in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted up by the rivers of the water, and bring forth fruit in his season. His leaf also won't wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which is the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteousness. For the Lord knows the way of the righteousness, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.
Man, what a psalm.
Yeah, that's good.
So I said, if you choose the habit, you choose the result. Look at the results. All right, so we're going to start with a habit. Well, we'll delve into the habits, but look at the results, guys. So if I were to say, if you do a few things well in your life and in your marriage, in your relationship, with your fiance, in your dating relationship, you do a few things well, here's going to be the results. What if I told you, all right, if you'll choose the right habits, these will be your results every time. The word blessed. You know what that means right there? It says, blessed is this man. Blessed means happy, joyful.
Yeah.
I love this meaning. Extremely to be envied. That's what blessed means. That means people look at you and go,
I like that. Yeah.
holy smoke,
Yeah.
man. What is that guy doing? Because I wish I had that life, man. I wish I was in that position. So he's saying, hey, you'll be blessed if you do these things. You develop these habits, you'll find your life blessed. Look what he goes on down. What else does he say, Eli? He'll be like a
tree planted by the rivers
you
of
go.
waters. Yeah. Bring forth fruit in his season. Yeah, that's interesting.
So there's the results.
Yeah, right there.
There's the results. And there's a powerful statement in there, I believe, if my mind is good. Whatever he does,
It'll prosper. Yeah.
it'll be good.
Yeah.
All right? It'll be to your positive. So, man, dudes, that's what I want. Those are the results I want in my life. Those are the results I want in my marriage. What if wouldn't you say, I want my marriage to be so good that everybody looks at them and goes, how do we get there?
Yeah.
That's just a bless, man. They're happy, they're joyful, and man, we envy them.
Yeah.
Hey, they're solid. They're like a tree planted by the water. Nothing seems to shake them.
Right.
Storms come, but there they are. Drought comes everywhere else, but it seems like they're still productive. They're still fruitful.
Right. And
Right.
It says he'll bring forth fruit. And I don't remember which particular passage it is, but it says you'll know them by their fruits.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
that's actually part of that too,
That's what I want for my marriage. I know it's what you want for yours. I certainly want whatever my wife and I endeavor to do.
Yeah.
If I could say we were prosperous, praise God. In my definition, I want to qualify something here. I'm not a prosperity gospel guy, so I'm not reading this to say
Yeah,
whatever you do, you're going to make $1 million, or whatever you do, you're going to have 3 cars, or whatever you do, you're going to own 5 houses. That's a different definition of prosperity than it's really right here. It just means that the Lord's going to be delighted in what you're doing, that you're furthering His plan and purpose in your life. It does not mean that you won't have challenges, obstacles, and it won't mean that in your mind you'll look at something and go, well, that was an utter failure. But it maybe you needed that utter failure to push you to higher heights in the plan of the Lord. So at the end of the day, though, the promise is it's going to come out for your good.
Yeah.
It's going to build. That's what I want for my life. That's what I want for my marriage. So here that begs the question then, preacher, what are the habits? If you choose the habit, you choose these results. What are the habits that we choose from Psalm 1? Well, there are 4, okay, that I see here. 4 holy habits that if you develop them, guys, it guarantees you that these results are going to come out of your life. That's just a natural occurrence, a supernatural occurrence, I should say it that way, that they'll come out of your life. So begin to watch these things in your life. He says, blessed is a man, isn't it in the negative there?
Yep.
Who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. So the word counsel is, to me, stands out right there. Who do you let speak into your mind? Who do you let speak to your values? Who do you let sow truth into you? He says, you got to be careful, okay? Develop a habit of making sure that you get good.
Yeah.
Find a source of good, godly counsel. That's the positive. The negative, the way it is in the Psalm 1 is, hey, you're not getting it from ungodly people.
Yeah.
You're not getting your counsel from someone who doesn't even know the Lord, okay? You're not getting your counsel. And I could go a lot of directions with this, so I'm going to rein myself in. I marvel how many times, I'm going to make it personal. I marvel how many times, guys, I let things of this world and people of this world affect my perceptions of truth and how I live. And I'm talking about a pastor. I prepare every Sunday. I prepare to be the man. I'm in the Word. I do this. But I'm telling you, it is a human thing, especially if it's something I love or something I like. I'm going to meddle a little bit. If it's a ball team I love or if it's a thing I love to do, I'll put up with a little something if it'll justify. I'll welcome something into my life that might justify my viewpoints and my feelings toward those things and somehow provide more room for them in my life and make me feel good about it. So I'm challenging you guys this new year. Make sure where you're really receiving your counsel and where you're getting your truth from. Because the psalmist said, you want to be blessed, you want to be fruitful, you want to be planted, hey, you want whatever you do to prosper, then job number 1 is to make a habit of checking your source, man, making sure that you're getting your truth, that you're getting your counsel, that you're getting your understanding from sources that are godly and not ungodly. Eli, aren't there a lot of sources in this world today that you would deem dangerous, maybe?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I think about one of the first thing that comes to my mind when you mention that is we are all on and connected to the internet and media and social media. And one of the things you poured into us, one of our last key leadership meetings was 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, walks about seeking whom he may devour. And that idea of vigilance is, I think, it kind of ties into this of, man, just be aware. There's so many things out there, and I dare say that it's almost obvious when you have an ungodly source come at you. It's like, that's not of the Lord. I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, let's shy away from that.
I probably shouldn't read that, or I probably shouldn't look at that, or I probably shouldn't listen to that. And I pour that into the students a lot, try to tell them, in the student ministry, say, hey, guys, just filter the content that you're bringing into your life. That whole idea of watching what you're taking in spiritually and physically too. I mean, eating right, that is, that's part of it. And all of it kind of ties into the physical realm, but watching what you're looking at, watching what you're saying, watching what you're doing, those kind of things. Yeah,
and guys, especially, let's put it in the marriage context. I want the right person sowing into my life about how I treat my wife and lead my home. That's so don't be receiving stuff into your life. Just like Eli said, that the minute it's coming to you, your spirit is jumping up and down because I didn't get that from a godly source. But it might fit your narrative, guys. So be careful that your narrative and your relationship isn't driving you. But that desire to have good, godly counsel in my life. We're trying to give that here. We really are. That's one of the points and the reasons behind this is because I want you to have a source a place that you can maybe trust a little bit to go, that our best effort, we're not going to be perfect, guys.
Yeah.
No. We don't know all the answers, but our best effort and our heart's desire is to give you good, godly input and counsel, and you take it and under the leadership of the Spirit apply it in the way that He instructs you to in your marriage and your home. So the first thing, here's the first habit. Make sure and analyze that, okay? I think it's Peter that says, not every spirit that's out there is of the Lord.
Yeah.
You need to learn to try those spirits, okay? So guys, learn to weigh the counsel that you're getting first. And the first question you got to ask about it is this godly? You know, when that guy at work says, I wouldn't put up with that from my wife for $10 million, I wouldn't let that go for 1 second. I'd nip that in the bud. You have to stop and think, wait a minute, now how's this guy's, where's he coming from? Is he following after Jesus? Is he loving his wife? Is he doing it well and doing it right? Well, then maybe I might listen to him.
Right.
But don't buy into what he's saying if he's blowing it. Okay, so don't buy into that. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is look for a place of good, godly counsel. And that can even be a good model, right? We talked about Joseph on Christmas Day, our Christmas Day podcast. What a model. Number 2, what else does he say? Here's the second habit. Not only watch where you get your counsel, he says don't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, but he said don't stand in the path of sinners. Doesn't he use that word right there?
Stand in the way of
Don't
sinners.
do that, man. Don't stand in the way that sinners are going. So he says you be careful, of your counsel. And here I'm going to be a Baptist preacher for you, Eli, right quick. Be careful of your course, okay? Watch where you're walking. Watch who you're standing with. Watch the vein of life you're living in and the place you put yourself often, because it's not going to do you any good if you put yourself in ungodly, sinful places over and over and over again. That's ultimately not going to fall out good in your life. So watch your course, okay? So let's be on the positive side, because I'm a positive guy. The first one is, hey, get good godly counsel. That's a good habit. Make sure the counsel you're getting is godly. Make sure the places you are, okay, are holy and not sinful. Maybe I should say it that way. Are good and holy, and not a way that sinful folks would go. Psalm 16, guys, if you should think about it this way, here's the positive, man. The Lord will show you the pathway that leads to life. And that's what he's talking about in Psalm 1. Yeah. He's saying, man, you want to walk a pathway that leads to life, not a pathway that leads to death and destruction. Right. You want to walk a pathway that leads to prosperous things in your life and not things that rob you. So make sure the course that you follow. Eli, if you were to tell students, there's a lot of things you can tell them that are fundamental, but don't you think one of the greatest indicators of the outcomes in a student's life is the course they're walking and the people they're walking that path with?
Absolutely. It all comes back to where sort of the fundamental foundations of their life have come from. You know, what direction they're going in with school. And there are pros and cons to multiple different types of education, different types of resources and things like that. It's not what I'm trying to say. There's one bad way or one, route or the other to go down. But I will say exactly what you're talking about. Following the right leadership, and like it all ties back in. It's kind of cool how this works. The Dreaming podcast, I go back to that. When Hope and I sit down and look at our future together, one of the things we look at, and I try to tell the students, is what sort of goal are you trying to accomplish? And in that goal, is it following after what the Lord wants you to do? But also, what kind of steps are you going to take to get there? And is that the steps you're taking to get there, are they glorifying the Lord? Are they glorifying other people? Are they glorifying yourself? And what's in the way of that? Are you walking in the way of sinners, kind of going through this course of life, being distracted by it? Because there's so many distractions out there. And when we sit down and dream together, we look at the years ahead and kind of try to anticipate some of those distractions. Yeah. There are going to be sort of roadblocks. There are going to be things that kind of come in our way that are inevitable, and we have to figure out how we're going to manage them, how we're going to go around them, how we're going to map them out. And the reality is, like you're saying, don't stand in the way of the sinners. Follow after the way the Lord's trying to guide you. And I told students there's distractions everywhere. You'll see distractions, you'll see things come at your way. And I will hesitate on this app because YouTube, it's great. Love YouTube. A lot of good things on YouTube. But there is also a whole lot of distractions on YouTube. We're on this vein. I like to have a lot
of destructive things.
We have a godly podcast we're trying to put out there, but there are so many distractions. Yeah. And I think that word kind of sits with me is don't be distracted.
No, I like that, Eli. what isn't the scripture's admonition, the steps of a godly man are ordered by the Lord.
That's right.
You're walking the right way. He's going to order your steps. So, guys, just watch the course that you're taking, that it's leading to good and holy things, that it's positive, that it's ordered by the Lord, that He gives you that insight, the way that you're supposed to be going, letting Him guide the path of your life. And Eli's hitting on something that's so relevant, guys, that the path of my life is not the path of your life, is not the path of anybody else's life. The Lord has a path for you. He has a path for your wife. He has a path for your home. I think for me, what a responsibility it is as a husband to make sure that I'm leading my family down the right path, that I'm leading my wife, that I'm not putting them in the way of sinners or putting them in a bad place, that I'm putting them in a holy place and a helpful place, that ultimately when I make a habit of wanting that to be my desire, a lot of good things are going to come from that, a lot of good things. Thirdly, all right, Eli, here we go, third habit. So it's funny because he goes walk, stand, and then sit. How about that? All these postures, all these different postures, walk, stand, then sit. He said, don't sit in the seat of the scornful. If you look at that, scornful, that means this. You have a critical, judgmental attitude, okay? So don't start passing judgment. And, if you look at this can be progressive. One of these builds on another, all right? You start getting advice and counsel from the wrong place. All of a sudden, then you start going to the wrong things. And then before long, you set yourself up as an authority when you didn't even get there the right way, and you don't even know what you're talking about, and all of a sudden you get critical, judgmental, you're telling other people what to do, you're passing judgment on them and being harsh on them, and you don't even have any business being in the place that you're in. So that's a progression that you can see there really, really easily. So don't sit in that scornful seat. So the third C would be don't have a critical attitude. Okay, don't let your attitude be critical. I know some of us are less given to that just naturally than others are. But as human beings, that's easy for us all to be there.
It's true.
It's easy for us all to adopt that spirit and start being critical rather than positive. So, do you like being around a critical person?
No, I don't know. It's kind of a... Now, here's the thing.
I got you, brother.
I do think there is some constructive criticism.
Good criticism.
I always like to use that word, constructive criticism.
Yeah, under the leadership of the Lord when He tells you in the right way. Absolutely.
Criticism is I think about that progression. I love the way you said that. And I think about people who get in this progression of life, and parents ask me sometimes, well, why do you think this student is this way? Or how did my kid end up in this realm of reality or this situation? Well, where is the counsel coming from?
Yep.
What kind of criticism were they getting?
Yep.
And then what course did they go on?
Yep.
And where this is where they end up.
Yep.
They chose the habit, and now that kind of
here they
all
are.
kind of progresses
here they
into
are,
that
right
critical
here.
attitude.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Eli. There is something good about having iron sharpening iron and good. Let me put it this way: how do you think Tammy responds when I come at her with a judgmental, overbearing, never do anything right? Let me show you what you did wrong before I show you what you did right. How do you think that goes? It's terrible. I can answer that for you.
Good.
It's never going to go good. That's almost intuitive that it isn't going to go good. You don't have to have a brain in your head to figure out that's just not going to go good if you do that, guys. But we get there, okay?
Yeah.
So be careful and develop habits, all right? Don't try to walk into that. Make sure you get the good counsel, walk in the right way, and it'll produce the right attitude in you. All of a sudden, you have a redemptive spirit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll choose that word. Rather than a critical, tearing down spirit, you have a redemptive spirit and a building spirit, something that buoys somebody rather than deflates somebody.
And what you're saying, it is easy to be critical.
Yes, it is. Easier, much easier.
Right.
It is natural for us to go there. So develop a habit of finding, especially if you're given to this, because some people are more given to this spirit than others.
Yeah.
And if you know that about yourself, then you need to be extra diligent to develop that habit to say, hey, I know that about myself. I'm just not going to let that language creep in. I'm not going to let that attitude creep in. And sometimes even thinking it is not good because it does you harm when you start thinking about it and you focus on it. So watch that critical spirit that can come in. Nothing more refreshing than a positive spirit, an upbuilding spirit, a positive outlook in life. There's nothing more refreshing than that. Now, I love number 4 because all the other 3 are really balanced there's a transition word hermeneutically there. Okay, he says a lot of things not. He says three things not to do, really, and then he uses the word "but," a little transitional word, and he gives you one thing you need to do. Okay, three things don't do, one thing to do. What is it?
But his delight is in the law of the Lord.
Absolutely.
And in his law, he meditates day and night.
Absolutely. So you develop that habit.
Yeah.
Because I know you're out there like me. I'm taking notes on those first three going, oh, man, how am I ever going to get this done?
Right.
I mean, that's a lot right there. How am I going to do that well? Well, here's the key to it all. All right. You delight yourself in the law of the Lord. You know what delight means? It means this, guys. It means find joy, find peace, find contentment, find happiness in the word of the Lord, okay? So there's where it starts. You want to be the man and love your wife well. You want to develop some holy habits that'll make your relationship productive, okay? That'll make your relationship one that others envy. You want to have that as a result. Then the first habit you got to develop really is this delight in the law of the Lord, because that's the only way you're going to find good counsel.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only way you're going to be able to discern it. That's the only way you're going to know when I'm in the right way. All right, am I in the sinful way, or am I walking in a positive, holy way, or am I walking in a negative? Because the enemy is good at making a sinful way look very holy and positive, okay? So you have to have that discernment. How am I going to overcome this human attitude, this natural given thing that we're given to rush to judgment? How am I going to do that? Well, it's going to be about the Word. I got to delight myself. And I got to do what, Eli? I got to
Meditate on it
there
day
you
and
go.
night.
Absolutely. You can't do it once a year.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't even do it once a day.
Yeah.
Is the implication
Day
right
and
there?
night, yeah.
That's right. So it's got to be something that you're thinking about, that you're allowing the Spirit to run over in your mind all the time.
And I think that's a pretty cool life application too. A lot of people where do you find your joy? What are you delighting in? And I can't get happy. I can't feel like I'm excited. I can't seem to look forward to anything. Well, you might be delighting in the wrong things. And the simple answer, I know it sounds easier said than done, but the reality is it might seem cliche. Delight in the Lord.
Amen. The most profound truth is simple truth, brother.
Yes.
And right there it is for you guys. You start with the Lord. Delight yourself in the Lord's law. You say, well, Pastor, I don't know that I love the Word that much. Well, you spend a little time in it, honestly, under the leadership of the Holy Spirit, and all of a sudden it'll start getting real in your life, and you'll have a love for it.
There's a verse that later on in Psalm, I want to say 37:4, but I might be wrong. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires
of your heart, man.
Yeah.
So it begins there every time, guys. So there's the fundamental habit. There's four, but the fourth one that we talked about is really the most critical. I love quotes. Did I say quotes? I love quotes, guys. I really do. That just proves to you that this is raw. This is unfiltered right here, man. I love Martin Luther, too. Just one of the favorite guys I've ever studied, and just so many cool quotes that he has.
Yeah.
He said this on one occasion, and it's not direct. This is my Harris paraphrase. He said this. He said, I could not live in paradise without the word of the Lord, but I could easily live in hell as long as I had it. Now think about that. He's saying, I don't even think I could live in a paradise, that tropical island where the temperature's right every day and the food is good and the fruit's there and the beach and whatever you like. I can't live in a paradise without the word. I couldn't do it. But you give me a place that I hate, that's repulsive, that's detrimental and damaging, the worst place you can think of, I can live there as long as I have the Word.
That's good.
Powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful.
Powerful.
I know of there's a similar kind of vein that it might be the same quote, but they talk about, I'd rather live a day. I'd rather have the Lord in the worst place ever. I'd rather have the Lord, in my lowest moment than not have Him in the greatest place in the world, or the highest, mountaintop. I'd rather have Him in the high, or have Him in the lows, than not have Him at all.
Absolutely, man, and that's powerful, guys. So there's where it starts. Is really just spending time in and with, walk with it. I think to me that's when you delight. Is when you don't try to grind at it so hard. When you just walk with it.
Yeah,
when you just walk with it, man. Just don't make it so hard, guys. Sometimes I see fellas, Eli, they just make this so hard. They struggle. And what you really need to do is just get up and walk with the Word. That was part of our 40 Days Toward Fitness, is trying to just encourage people, just walk with the Word every day. Just get up and read a portion of it. Let it just soak into you. And you'll find that you have a love for it that develops every day, and all of a sudden it'll begin to be the thing that, it's not going to be. I know National Signing Day for college football was one day this week. Everybody's talking about who'd my team get? Did they sign their letter of intent? Right. Did they? Or fantasy, my fantasy league, my drafts this week, man, and your mind's on that. Who am I going to choose? Well, you really need that kind of priority. All of a sudden, you'll find the word of the Lord being a thing. Yeah. Hey, what did he mean if I delight myself in it? He'll give me this. All right, hey, how does that mean to try the Spirit? So all of a sudden, the word of the Lord becomes the thing that you're meditating on all the time. So there's your habits, guys, and you apply them and watch how they affect your ability to love your wife. You watch how they affect what goes on in your home. And, man, we want those results to come, those blessed, solid, sound, planted, prosperous, everything that comes from us, fruitfulness, all going to be for our good and for the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ. That is the kind of home we want. So, Lord, help these guys. I'm praying for you right now with my eyes open. Help them to develop. Help me to develop these habits in my life. We ask you that, Father.
And to kind of give these guys, as you go out into your new year, I feel like a lot of times I've had people ask me, and I've even asked myself, well, how in the world, these Bible study plans, I go into the new year, I want to start in Genesis 1, go to Revelation, read a passage a day or whatever. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. Yeah. And I think one of the things that you kind of just said that I really like is just, take a habit, and instead of waking up and checking your phone, or instead of waking up and, looking at YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whatever, wake up, get in the Word. And that's part of the 40 Days of Fitness.
Absolutely.
Wake up in the Word.
Wake in the Word, man.
That's a habit,
You develop it 30 days, and I promise you won't stop it.
I love that.
Yep.
So you guys go out there and develop these healthy habits. I think there's a lot of habits out there that we can have.
Don't talk about Little Debbie cakes and key lime pie. Leave that alone.
I know they're all over the place. This new year, make 2024 the year that you delight yourself in the Lord, and I think you'll see the relationship that you have with your spouse, specifically in this Be the Man context.
Prosper. It'll blossom. It'll prosper. Absolutely. We love you guys, and Happy New Year to you. Look forward to some couples podcasts even. Got a new vein coming out. 2024 is going to be a grand, and I'm going to borrow a word from this psalm, blessed.
Amen.
I believe it's going to be a blessed year in your life.
You guys go out there and be the man. Stay tuned at trinityoffairview.com/events, and check us out on Spotify, YouTube. Pastor Stacey's got a message every Sunday. Pick that up in the archives, and we'll see you guys here after a while.
Amen.